This tutorial video is for Scene Manager version 2.2.2. To begin, open the Scene Manager menu by pressing left shift and T. When the menu opens, you'll see three options: Path menu, Barrier menu, and Settings. To create a path, select Path menu and create new path. A marker will show up at your mouse position. The first waypoint of a path must be a collector waypoint. The collector waypoint will cause any vehicles that enter the collection radius, which is the blue circle, any vehicles that enter the collection radius to be collected by the path and follow the rest of the path's waypoints. Again, the first waypoint of a path must be a collector waypoint. You can change the collector radius and the speed zone radius. Vehicles inside the speed zone radius will slow down or speed up to the waypoint speed that you've defined. You can also make this a stop waypoint or a drive direct waypoint. The drive direct waypoint will cause the AI to ignore their normal pathfinding rules, such as driving on the right side of the road or not driving off-road, in order to drive directly to the waypoint that you've placed. So I'm going to create a new waypoint with these options. We can see that I have a new waypoint at my mouse position that I can move around. This is going to be the second waypoint. It is green, which designates a driving waypoint. If I select collector, it'll turn blue again. However, we already have a collector waypoint, so I don't need another one. I'll leave that unchecked, and I'll just add this waypoint here. If I accidentally clicked, or I want to change options from that waypoint, I can remove last waypoint, modify my waypoint options, and then add it again. I'll add a third waypoint, and the AI will not follow your path until you choose End Path Creation. I'll choose that now, and the path is now active. So any vehicles that enter the blue radius, the blue marker, will be collected by the path and follow the path waypoints. We'll see that now with this truck. First it slows down because it's in my speed zone radius, and then begins following the path when it enters the collection radius. If I want to change any waypoints of a path, I can do that by selecting the Edit Path option, choosing Edit Waypoints, and then scrolling through the different waypoints available on the path. I'm going to edit waypoint number 2. I'm going to make it a stop waypoint. I'm going to update the waypoint position. It'll give me another marker at my mouse position. I can move around. And when I choose Update Waypoint, it'll move waypoint number 2 to the new position and make it a stop waypoint. As we can see, the vehicle's now stopped there. I'm going to change it back to a normal driving waypoint, and the AI will continue driving through there as normal. I can disable the path, which will cause the AI to not be collected. I can re-enable it by unchecking Disable Path. I can also delete the path if necessary. Returning to the path main menu, I have an option to disable all paths and an option to delete all paths. There's also an option to direct the nearest driver to a path's nearest waypoint or the first waypoint. So for example, I will collect a oncoming vehicle and tell it to drive to the first waypoint of path 1. So as we can see, it's now driving to path 1. It is collected on path 1 and will follow the rest of the waypoints, as long as it doesn't get stuck. If it gets stuck, that's okay, because I have the ability to dismiss the driver from the world, which will delete them, from the path, which will cause them to stop following the path, or from the waypoint. If it's a stop waypoint, this will cause the driver to continue driving to the next waypoint. So I'll see if I can fix this by dismissing them from the path. And I did. And they were actually recollected by the path because they were inside the collection radius, and they were able to successfully navigate the rest of the waypoints. If you want to place barriers, such as cones and barricades, go to the barrier menu. You are able to navigate a list of different barriers. You can rotate them as well. This prop is from Parks' Signs and Barricades pack. You can rotate. If you are using advanced barrier options, which is defined in the INI, disabled by default. If you have it enabled, you can change the texture and turn off or on barrier lights if it has them. So we see this arrow board has flashing lights. I can turn those on and off. Certain props also have different textures. You can change those to change the color. Again, these are Parks' Signs and Barricades pack props. And I will place some barriers to supplement my path. So I'll find a cone, the basic cone. This will do. When I'm ready to place it, I can just click on the spawn barrier option, and it will create a barrier where I clicked. If you accidentally misplaced a barrier, you can choose the remove last barrier option. It will delete it. You can also choose to remove all barriers or the nearest barrier. So I will go ahead and place barriers around this path. The important thing to note is that the AI does not care about these barriers. Barriers should be used to supplement a path. As you can see, this Hummer does not care about the cones. Again, the barriers should be used to supplement a path. Do not create barriers thinking that the AI will follow them, because they will not. Luckily, I have an option to reset barriers, which will fix all this mess. And I noticed that these barriers are too close to the path that the AI takes, so I will remove them and just place new ones so they don't hit them. Perfect. In the settings menu, you can enable 3D waypoints or disable them. You can enable map blips or disable them. You can enable hints or disable them, and change the speed unit of measure, which is used for the waypoint speed option. You can save all of these settings to the INI file so that you do not have to define them every time you use the plugin. That's the basics of using Scene Manager. If you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord and ask. If you enjoy Scene Manager, I would appreciate if you considered becoming a patron. This plugin is very complex. It took a lot of time, a lot of free time, and I still have a lot planned for the future. But any support that the community could give would be greatly appreciated. The more patrons there are, the more people are able to test my updates in early access. The more testing that gets done, the faster I'm able to develop. And the faster I can develop, the faster updates are pushed out. So again, if you like Scene Manager or any of my other plugins, I'd appreciate it if you would consider becoming a patron. Only $5 a month. Gives you access to early releases of updates and new unreleased plugins. Thanks.